Richard Widmark, the screen legend whose villainous roles have gone down in history, remained an enigma when it came to his private life. The intensely private man kept the secret of his greatest love hidden for decades. But before drawing his final breath, he made a stunning confession. Who was the woman who stirred his heart until the very end? And what made him conceal that love for so long? Let's uncover this unexpected and moving story. Before becoming a cinematic icon known for his sinister grin and piercing eyes, Richard Widmark had a rather unsettled childhood. Born in 1914 in Sunrise, Minnesota, his life was shaped by constant relocation due to his father's job as a traveling salesman. This ever-changing environment may have honed Widmark's ability to adapt and observe people skills that would become invaluable to his acting career. Although he lacked a stable home in his early years, Widmark quickly developed a love for the performing arts, particularly theater. That passion led him to Lake Forest College, where he studied drama. It was there that Widmark's natural talent began to blossom. He not only became an active participant in school productions, but also quickly stood out for his skill. After graduation, Widmark set his sights on a professional acting career. He moved to New York, the epicenter of theater, and began his journey under the stage lights. Those early years in New York were filled with the kind of struggle familiar to many young actors. Widmark took on whatever jobs he could to survive, from voice work on radio to appearing in small theater productions. But his perseverance and talent gradually earned him recognition in the Broadway scene. He landed roles in several successful plays and received critical praise for his versatility and the emotional intensity he brought to his characters. The years spent on stage helped forge Widmark into a technically skilled actor with expert control over his voice gestures and facial expressions. The turning point in Richard Widmark's career came in 1947 when director Henry Hathaway discovered him and cast him as Tommy Udo in the classic film noir Kiss of Death. It was Widmark's first film role, and it sent shockwaves through Hollywood. With his slicked-back blonde hair, twisted half-smile, and chillingly cold eyes, Widmark brought to life a sadistic psychopath. One scene in particular, where Udo pushes an elderly woman down a flight of stairs with a maniacal laugh, became one of the most terrifying moments in cinema history. The role earned him his first Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor and cemented his image in the public's mind as the ultimate villain, a man who could send shivers down your spine. Though he would later take on more heroic and complex roles, it was Tommy Udo that laid the foundation for Richard Widmark's celebrated career in Hollywood. After the explosive impact of Tommy Udo in Kiss of Death, Richard Widmark's career soared to new heights. Although the villainous image stuck with him, Widmark never allowed himself to be typecast. He constantly challenged himself with a wide range of roles, from intense film noir to thought-provoking social dramas and even classic westerns. Both audiences and critics alike came to admire his astonishing versatility. He could play an upright police officer in Panic in the Streets 1950, a compassionate but conflicted doctor in No Way Out 1950, or a sharp-witted spy in Pickup on South Street 1953. Widmark was not just a gifted actor, but also a dedicated and professional artist. He was known for his meticulous approach to character study, always digging deep into the psychology and motivations of the roles he played, whether it was a ruthless criminal or a righteous hero. This dedication helped him achieve tremendous success and solidified his place as one of Hollywood's top stars. Over a career that spanned more than 40 years, Widmark appeared in over 70 films and worked with some of the greatest directors of all time, including Elia Kazan, John Ford, and Stanley Kramer. Prestigious awards and nominations continued to come his way, further reinforcing his image as a veteran star and a pillar of American cinema. However, behind the brilliant spotlight and his complex roles, Richard Widmark's personal life remained remarkably private, especially when it came to romance. In stark contrast to many of his Hollywood peers who were often embroiled in love scandals and whirlwind marriages, Widmark had virtually no public history of romantic affairs before he wed. He rarely appeared in gossip columns with rumors of flings or complicated relationships. This discretion only enhanced his reputation as a model gentleman fully devoted to his craft and his family. The only known and public relationship in his life was his marriage to Jean Hazlewood. They tied the knot in 1942 before Widmark rose to fame and remained together until Jean's death in 1997, a marriage that lasted over half a century. Their relationship was seen as a rare example of lasting love in Hollywood. Jean Hazlewood was more than a wife. She was a life partner, a quiet yet steady presence who stood by Widmark through the highs and lows of his career. To the public, they were a model couple, proof that true love could endure. Everything seemed perfect, a fulfilling love story that capped off the illustrious life of a Hollywood star. And yet, behind that flawless image and tightly guarded privacy lay a deeply buried secret. The fact that Widmark had no known romantic past only made his final confession all the more startling and hard to believe. The relationship long assumed to be the full extent of his love life turned out to be only part of the story. Was there another figure who had long occupied a place in his mind and heart, a love the public never knew, a love that may have existed in silence long before he ever married? And what compelled such a calm, accomplished man to keep that part of his life hidden until his final moments? The answer lies in the unexpected confession he made before his death. When Richard Widmark entered the twilight of his life, after the passing of his wife of over 50 years, Jean Hazlewood, in 1997, a subtle yet profound change took place within him. The pain of loss, coupled with a reflective awareness that came as his health began to decline, seemed to soften the emotional fortress he had built around himself for so long. It was during these final years that a confession quietly emerged, not through a formal, well-documented interview, but rather in private, heartfelt conversations with those he trusted most. Perhaps it was his daughter, Anne Heath Widmark, or a rare lifelong friend in whom he confided. In that intimate, nostalgic atmosphere, Richard Widmark, his voice, likely frail but sincere, revealed something he had kept hidden for a lifetime. He did not refer to Jean Hazlewood as the sole love of his life. Instead, he spoke of another figure. The woman he described as the love of my life was none other than Shirley Booth. The revelation stunned many some to the point of disbelief. Shirley Booth, 1898-92, was a gifted actress winner of the Oscar, Tony, and Emmy, known for her remarkable range across stage, film, and television. Publicly, there appeared to be little connection between Richard Widmark and Shirley Booth, aside from their early collaborations on Broadway. Most notably, they performed together in the stage play The Willow and I in 1942. Interestingly, this was the same year Widmark married Jean Hazlewood. The timing of that coincidence only added complexity and quiet poignancy to his confession. So why was Shirley Booth the love of my life in Widmark's final admission when the public had only ever known Jean Hazlewood? The story is not one of scandal or secret affairs. Instead, it reveals something far more poignant about love and regret. Widmark spoke of an instant and profound emotional connection with Shirley Booth from the very first moment they met. Perhaps it was a shared artistic spirit, a deep admiration for each other's talent and intellect, or a powerful emotional bond that transcended the boundaries of professional friendship. It was, by his account, a silent thunderbolt, a love that sparked intensely but was never allowed to ignite into a public flame. A fated love arriving at the right moment in life, but the wrong time. The reasons behind this long-held secret are likely complex and multifaceted. First, at the time of their connection, Widmark had just married Jean Hazelwood. He was a family man, dutiful, responsible, and deeply committed to his role as a husband. Pursuing another relationship at that moment would have been unthinkable, especially in a conservative era under the scrutinizing eye of a rising Hollywood, where public image and personal reputation were paramount. A romantic scandal could have devastated both his and Shirley Booth's burgeoning careers. Second, both Richard Widmark and Shirley Booth were deeply private individuals who valued discretion. They were not the type to parade emotions publicly or turn personal matters into gossip fodder. Keeping the relationship hidden was not only an act of self-preservation, but also a gesture of respect for Widmark's marriage, for Booth's career, and for the sanctity of something deeply personal and emotionally complicated. Perhaps this connection remained forever suspended in that hazy space between friendship, admiration, and an unfulfilled love. It was a promise never spoken aloud, a possibility never realized, but one that etched itself deeply into Richard Widmark's soul. It became a private sorrow, a bittersweet burden he carried throughout his life. His confession was never meant to diminish his marriage to Jean Hazelwood, a union marked by mutual respect, loyalty, and enduring love which provided the foundation for his life and career. Rather, it was simply an acknowledgement of another kind of love, one that existed in its own realm, idealized, untouched by reality, and quietly cherished in the corners of his heart. It was the voice of a man nearing the end of his journey, unburdening himself of a truth kept too long, seeking peace and release before leaving this world. Richard Widmark's final confession about Shirley Booth was not merely a surprising revelation about his personal life. It opened a window into the emotional depth of a famously reserved artist and carried profound meaning far beyond the story of two individuals. Most importantly, it revealed a deeper, more human side of Richard Widmark. Throughout his career, he was known for his steely, cold screen presence and his stoic, intensely private demeanor off-screen. To the public, he was a brilliant actor, but emotionally distant. Yet this confession unveiled a very different Widmark, a man with a sensitive heart, capable of deep, private longing. It exposed the tension between his public obligations, his marriage, his reputation, and the inner yearning for a love he could never fully express. The decades-long silence and the profound regret show that even the most seemingly composed individuals carry emotional weights invisible to the world. Secondly, the story offers a richer perspective on the nature of love and regret. It reminds us that true love doesn't always manifest as marriage or social acceptance. Sometimes it lives as a powerful spiritual connection, a love that flickers intensely but is never allowed to burn, constrained by circumstances and timing. For Widmark, the love he held for Shirley Booth may have been his ideal, the what might have been that stayed with him all his life. His choice to finally speak of it near the end was not just catharsis, but closure, a quiet acceptance of what was and what could never be. It affirms that no matter how perfect a life may appear from the outside, every person carries unfulfilled desires and silent longings, and sometimes only at the end do they feel free enough to acknowledge them. Lastly, this confession reshapes the way we view Richard Widmark and his legacy. He was more than a gifted actor. He was a man of emotional complexity, capable of great love and difficult choices. It adds a deeply human layer to the life of a Hollywood legend, making him more relatable, more real. This story reminds us that behind every icon, every polished image lies a human being with dreams, secrets, and regrets. And sometimes it's those unrevealed truths that tell us the most about who they really were. Richard Widmark's confession is more than just a revealed secret. It is an emotional legacy, a message about a hidden love that helped shape who he was and will forever remain a part of the story of this cinematic icon's life. Widmark's journey reminds us that even the seemingly strongest among us carry regrets and longings quietly held until their final breath. This story prompts us to reflect. Are there secrets each of us is keeping? Loves or desires that remain unspoken? Share your thoughts on Richard Widmark's story in the comments below. And if you found this story intriguing and want to uncover more surprising and hidden sides of Hollywood legends, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss what's coming next.